tools. There's a shopping list, the first inside cover of your notes. There's some recipes as well as a 7-day meal guide. So this is the interesting thing about life, is that 80% of the results that you're going to get as far as leanness is concerned has to do with what you put in your mouth. Okay, so if you want to get a six-pack, it happens more at the door of your fridge than it does at the door of your chair. The other 20% is crucial, though. Absolutely crucial. But as far as weight loss goes, what you put in your mouth really, really matters. Okay. Principle number 4 on that pyramid is exercise. I want to tell you a little story called 3 Hormones and a Spin Class Instructor. So, back when I was in the pain and pleasure model, when I was getting up at 6 in the morning, I was going to a spin class 3 days a week. And again, I didn't want to get in the car. And I wasn't in the pain and pleasure model, so I wasn't actually getting the results that I wanted to get, so I quit going. But going back to the spin class, we had a really great spin class instructor. Very perky, very cheery for 6 o'clock in the morning. That's not what I wanted. You can do it. Let's get those hills. And I quit going, okay, because I wasn't getting results. But the spin class instructor was very cheery and very perky. It was pretty evident that, like me and like everybody else in that class, she had about 20 pounds to lose herself. And so then I was also thinking when I was doing it, like, if she does this like every day, and she teaches like a couple other classes, like what do I have? So, long story short, I know I'm not supposed to say that to you.
Well, a long story short, yeah, that's okay.
I went back to that gym a few months ago, and from that time to this time, I've lost 30 pounds. I've gotten a lot healthier. And I saw her 2 years, 3 years later, and she still has, she had actually not only those 20 pounds to lose, she had about 25 pounds to lose.
Oh, wow.
And she's been doing this cardio, this like intense stuff daily. So the reason is, I'm sure that she hasn't been changing her diet, which we all know is a main component to weight loss. But also that much cardiovascular exercise produces a hormone called cortisol. And cortisol, what it does is it spares the fat reserves that we have. And we burn muscle tissue. And so any workout over 15, 20 minutes, that intensely, we burn through our sugar reserves and we start needing sugar, so our body starts producing cortisol so we can break down our protein, turn it into sugar. Okay? If we do shorter, more intense bursts of exercise, our body produces testosterone and growth hormone. And I'm not talking ladies that you're going to throw a beard like me. We all, men and women, need testosterone to burn fat, and we also need growth hormone to burn fat. When we work out intensely, those start going through our bloodstream like a heat-seeking missile. So I did a workout on Thursday, and I would bet money that Friday morning my body was still burning fat from that workout. In the workout, I worked out for about 9 minutes.
So that's good then, you want those in your own. You
Yes.
don't want the cortisol, but you do want the other two?
You don't want the cortisol, you do want the testosterone and growth hormone. You don't get these from cardio. You do get this from cardio. Okay. So we're told, eat whole grains, do lots of cardio.
Yeah.
It's like a recipe for a month of time. And I was in that model too, right? So I can't stand up here and pretend like I'm any smarter than anybody else. I just was able to research this and learn it, and just go back to what our genetics are telling us, and you get good results. Okay, 4 main movements that we teach, and you're going to be getting videos of exercises, but if you want to lose weight, we're going to write this down again. Most important things, 50 to 100 carbohydrates a day. Work out 6 days per week. Okay?
6 days?
6 days a week. 3 days you're lifting weights. 3 days you're walking. For about 45 minutes. Okay? No jogging, no elliptical unless you enjoy doing that. You can do it every once in a while.
45 minutes?
Yep. 45 minutes 3 days a week, lifting weights 3 days a week. And we're going to send out videos for you to do the weight training. If you don't have a gym membership, you can just do it at your home. These are the movements we teach. These are the movements that our hunter-gatherer ancestors did. They moved heavy things. They moved carcasses back to camp. They set up shelters, lifting heavy rocks, etc. They moved fast. They ran towards their food or away from being food, right? Okay, and they produce those movements produce those hormones that are good for us to burn fat and health. They move slow. They move from camp to camp. They walk and stuff like that. And they move fun. They play. They wrestle. They stuff like that. So if you enjoy playing basketball or tennis or something like that, make sure you include that. Okay. These two, move slow and move heavy things, are what I want you to focus on right away for losing weight. And then once you plateau, we start adding in some sprint type stuff. These workouts, what they do is they actually optimize our hormones, they optimize our leanness, and they optimize our health. These are genetically what we're hardwired to be able to do. Sufficiency and deficiency. I call this the chocolate chip. Okay. So if you have all the ingredients for a gluten-free chocolate chip cookie, and you leave out the chocolate chips, are you still going to have a pretty good cookie? Well, it depends, but yeah, it'll still be edible, right? It just won't be a chocolate chip cookie. So sufficiency, deficiency is the last part of the supplements. You can see it's the smallest importance. If you don't take the supplements, it'll be okay, but if you do, you're going to get the full chocolate chip cookie. Okay? And I guess we'll get into this in the next slide. No, we won't. Sufficiency, deficiency, what I recommend. So all I recommend is that we have the sufficient amount of nutrients that our hunter-gatherer ancestors did, so we can optimally express our genes. They had a lot more vitamins and minerals from the food that they ate, because the soil was much more nutritious. They ate ripe foods, didn't fly in from Chile, 1,500 miles, ripe enough, by being sprayed with CO2 gas. They got a lot more omega-3s, so I recommend the fish oil. Just the food they ate was much more rich in omega-3s. They ate the types of food from the animal that were rich in omega-3s that we don't really get in our diet. Probiotic, they ate about 1 million times more beneficial bacteria in their diet than we get, because our food supply is so sterile. And vitamin D3, because they're outside a lot and they followed the game herd south, so that they're always in enough sun exposure, always in enough skin exposure to produce adequate amounts of vitamin D. Living in Minnesota, we don't. Just cut and dry, we don't get enough vitamin D to be able to express our genes in a healthy manner. So we need to supplement.
Matt,
Yeah.
what about flaxseed? Can you use that for the omega-3 or?
Good question, yeah. So I recommend animal sources, either getting it from eating salmon, grass-fed beef, or taking a supplement, because flaxseed, there's EPA and DHA, and I can't off the top of my head remember which one's which at this point, but the one you get from plants needs to be converted into the one that's useful, and there's not a very high concentration. Our body doesn't convert it well enough. You do get some.
Okay.
We get a lot more higher concentration from an animal source.
Okay. But it's not a grain. Flaxseed is not a grain.
Flax is a grain, but you know, if you want to have some flaxseed oil, that'll be okay. It's a fairly healthy oil.
Okay.
Not a lot of omega-6.
What if it's not an oil, if it's the
flaxseed itself?
the ground up,
Ground up?
powdery thing? That I just bought a huge thing from Costco. This is why I'm asking, it's like this big, and I bought it last week.
Yeah, because you can't be craving it. It's like,
Right,
you
exactly.
just have supply.
Officially no, but to make you feel better, you can use it.
I'll give it here.
Yeah, give it to me. People are like, why would you give it to somebody you love?
I know, it's messed up.
Okay, so the base of our pyramid is purpose. And this is so cool, like I was talking about before. So we need to build on these things. And I'm not just here to sell you supplements or whatever, because if I did, it's not going to make you very healthy, right? Anybody that's just selling you supplements isn't going to make you very healthy. It'll get you just part of the way there. If you just do supplements and exercise, you'll get healthy, but it won't be a very strong foundation. Just try to change your diet and exercise, again, healthier. If you balance your nervous system, getting better, do it all with a purpose, the ultimate result is health. The current medical paradigm, this is upside down. And how much longer is a pyramid going to stand on its base than if it's standing on its point here, right? So what we try to do is just forget about all this other stuff and try to force health into here, instead of taking natural progressions to get to where it needs to be. Okay, I know you guys have been good about asking questions up to this point, but does anybody have just a couple questions?
Two quick ones.
Yeah.
How many grams of protein would you try to eat a day? Like if you said carbs 50 to 100,
Yep.
what would you say for protein? And then is protein powder okay, like whey protein
Yep,
powder?
whey protein powder is fine. You're going to be getting a test called, you already got it, right?
Yeah.
The BIA. There's a measure on there called fat-free mass. So a gram for every pound of fat-free mass. That's officially what I would say. but what I would really say is let your appetite decide. So when you're eating good quality fats and good quality proteins, you're not going to overeat. You're just going to eat as much as your body really needs. Let your appetite decide, but that's officially how you would actually.
Okay, I've never ever measured anything that I eat.
Yep,
So I don't know what 50 grams looks like. What does that mean?
50 grams.
Or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
these measurements you're throwing out there, I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't have a visual for that.
Yeah, I have an app on my smartphone called FitDay, I think. Let me.
Fit
you guys-
Click?
What's that?
Is it Fit Click?
Let me just go grab my smartphone. Just give me a second. I don't think it's FitClick. So I eat a lot of whole foods, which you'll notice it's really funny, but Cheerios has a heart healthy sticker on it, but blueberries don't, or bananas don't. They also don't have food labels on it. So it's called calorie. This is really dumb, but I think it's called calorie